The tale commences with our protagonist, Hyun-sung, taking an unexpected plunge from a towering edifice. As he plummets, bewildered and shocked, he ponders the reason behind this rooftop mishap. It's truly disheartening considering he was on the verge of graduation, having endured countless hardships to reach this point. He can't fathom why his efforts have led him to such a tragic outcome. Nevertheless, one thing he's certain of is that this day marks his eternal slumber. 3 months later, confined to a hospital ward, Hyun-sung's relatives suggest to their grandmother the idea of pulling the plug on him, as he has been diagnosed as vegetative. However, the devoted grandmother refuses to entertain such a notion, steadfastly believing that her grandson will awaken. Unbeknownst to them, Hyun-sung can hear every word spoken. In a later scene, his grandmother sits by his side, clutching his hand, desperately attempting to rouse him while pondering how this misfortune befell him. Witnessing his grandmother's deep concern, he yearns to console her, fully aware that his voice cannot reach her. Nevertheless, this only strengthens his determination to awaken. Sadly, in this dark realm, he finds himself utterly powerless, and a few more days pass by. His grandmother remains steadfastly by his side, yet her sorrow deepens. The heartless individuals around her continue to implore her to give up on him, unable to comprehend her unwavering commitment. She has been his sole caregiver since he lost his parents, and there is no way she will ever abandon him. Her unshakable belief in his eventual awakening leads her to beseech Hyun-sung for any sign of life, no matter how small. Meanwhile, Hyun-sung desperately implores his body to move, but his efforts prove futile. Several more years pass by. His younger brother pays him a visit, confessing that he can no longer endure the torment inflicted upon him by the very individuals who caused his brother's tragedy. Simultaneously, their grandmother, to cover Hyun-sung's medical expenses, has taken on work at a restaurant, resulting in an injury. Faced with these circumstances, Hyun-sung's only wish is for his brother to be freed from this suffering through death. They wouldn't have endured such immense pain if he had just passed away. Now, feeling utterly helpless and shedding tears of despair, he implores his brother to awaken and stand tall. Meanwhile, Hyun-sung has lost all hope of ever standing or even dying at his own will. Unable to shed tears, he becomes delusional, clinging to the belief that it's all merely a dream. If he endures just a bit longer, he is convinced he will awaken from this nightmarish reverie. 3 years later, still trapped in a coma, Hyun-sung realizes that his younger brother, Hyun-jin, hasn't visited him in a long time. Overhearing the nurses express their joy that his grandmother can no longer visit, as they can now increase the volume of the TV, he seethes with anger. Faces of all those who wronged him, including the teachers who covered up for those bullies, flood his memory. If given the chance to travel back in time, he vows to obliterate each and every one of them. Consumed by rage, he meticulously plans to annihilate them, leaving no trace behind, ensuring they can never rise again. He yearns to make them suffer more than he ever did, devising a perfect scheme to dismantle their lives. However, a decade passes, and he remains confined to his bed, devoid of company. At this point, he no longer cares about anything and pleads with anyone to end his existence. Suddenly, he opens his eyes only to see his own reflection staring back at him, which strangely brings him solace. Before he can fully process this, he realizes it's already morning, and he finds himself in a familiar place, his classroom. It dawns on him that he may be experiencing another dream of that fateful day. To verify its authenticity, he pinches his face, feeling the sting. Astonished, he grabs a pen and inflicts pain upon himself, confirming that he has indeed returned to the past. Overwhelmed with joy, he realizes he has been granted a second chance. However, his attention is diverted to a bully from his class who is busy tormenting someone. Outraged by the bully's actions and triggered by the notion that the other student believes he is incapable of acting alone, Hyun-sung stands up and intervenes. The bully's attention shifts toward him, spewing insults and threats. Without allowing him to finish, Hyun-sung lands a satisfying punch on his face, finally returning to the moments he had yearned for so long. This takes us back to the day when everything in his life changed. Vividly recalling the events of that day, Hyun-sung remembers Park Min-chul, the typical bully who enjoyed harassing his friends and played the online game Legend Online. Park Min-chul approached Lee Jung-min, assuming he was skilled at the game due to his intelligence, turning him into his game servant. As a result, Lee Jung-min, once a top student, started plummeting academically. Enduring Park Min-chul's demands to spend his own money on game items, Lee Jung-min's stress reached a boiling point. Finally, he mustered the courage to ask Park Min-chul to handle it himself. It was on that day that Hyun-sung witnessed violence firsthand. Unable to stand idly by, he remembered Lee Jung-min's kindness and the support he had offered. Thus, he couldn't bear to watch Lee Jung-min being beaten without anyone coming to his aid. However, before he could intervene, one of his friends prevented him, cautioning him against getting involved with Park Min-chul. Aware of his athletic prowess and reputation, Hyun-sung knew Park Min-chul's name didn't hold the same intimidation for him. Determined to confront him, he proceeded despite the teacher's imminent arrival. Although the situation was somewhat resolved once the teacher intervened, Park Min-chul's gang began relentlessly tormenting Hyun-sung. Every day they dragged him into their vile acts, subjecting him to relentless beatings and forcing him to run errands for their gaming endeavors. There were nights when he couldn't sleep due to the relentless bullying. Hyun-sung's life had become a living hell. However, upon his return, the events took a different turn, as Hyun-sung successfully landed a punch on Park Min-chul's face. Hyun-sung swiftly seized the opportunity and grabbed Park Min-chul's head, forcefully knocking it against the desk. Blood trickled from Park Min-chul's mouth, leaving his classmates astonished at the sudden display of Hyun-sung's badassery. With determination in his eyes, Hyun-sung struck Park Min-chul once again, ensuring this moment, this situation, would be etched into his memory as he fell into a comatose state. Hyun-sung knew Park Min-chul's fighting style relied solely on his physical strength, and he was not accustomed to taking hits. By striking first, Hyun-sung could easily dominate him. He had meticulously simulated this scenario countless times over the past 10 years, calculating each move. Not stopping there, Hyun-sung kicked Park Min-chul's face, sending him crashing into the wall. Park Min-chul had no idea how long Hyun-sung had been waiting for this moment. Unbeknownst to him, Hyun-sung had relentlessly prepared for this day, envisioning every possible outcome. Hyun-sung didn't care if Park Min-chul was beaten to death. He was consumed by his thirst for revenge. If Park Min-chul raised his face, Hyun-sung was ready to deliver another kick. If Park Min-chul tried to block with his hands, Hyun-sung would break them without hesitation. However, before Hyun-sung could inflict further damage, a chair suddenly came hurtling towards him. With impressive agility, he dodged it effortlessly and turned to face the source of the attack. A group of hooligans stood before him, ordering him to stop. Unfazed, Hyun-sung questioned what they would do if he refused, showing no signs of fear. One of the hooligans, Kang Chang-suk, considered the strongest among them, approached Hyun-sung without hesitation. But just as the fight was about to break out, a student informed them that a teacher was approaching. Realizing the risk of getting caught, they decided to retreat for now, planning to continue their confrontation later. However, before leaving, Kang Chang-suk warned Hyun-sung that he was in deep trouble once they found him after class. As the class resumed, Park Min-chul processed the events that had unfolded and seethed with anger. He couldn't believe what had just transpired, vowing revenge on Hyun-sung in his mind and plotting ways to counter his actions. Meanwhile, the other bullies eagerly awaited the end of the class, discussing the incident and wondering why Hyun-sung had acted so boldly, as if he had backup. Regardless of the reason, they couldn't let Hyun-sung's actions go unpunished. Even if they were called back to class, they were more than willing to trample on him to ensure he never looked down on them with arrogance again. Finally, when the class ended, the teacher left, and Park Min-chul hastily stood up, ready to confront Hyun-sung. To his surprise, before he could make a move, Hyun-sung's foot was already flying towards his face, knocking him down for the second time. Before Park Min-chul could hit the ground, Hyun-sung grabbed his head, preventing him from fainting right away, and challenged him to continue where they left off, face to face. Dumbfounded, Park Min-chul wondered why Hyun-sung sought this fight. Meanwhile, the other bullies rose from their seats and headed straight for Hyun-sung's classroom. However, upon their arrival, they were stunned to see Park Min-chul's battered face. And their surprise grew when Hyun-sung greeted them, eagerly waiting for their arrival, as if he had been expecting them. Kang Chang-suk charged at Hyun-sung, unaware that Hyun-sung had envisioned this very scenario during his 10-year coma. While Hyun-sung had no problem dealing with Park Min-chul, Kang Chang-suk presented a challenge. However, Hyun-sung knew the answer was simple, doing things he hadn't considered before. He grabbed a piece of metal and thrust it into Kang Chang-suk's temple, for fair play meant nothing in his quest for revenge. Following up with another attack, Hyun-sung unleashed his fury upon Kang Chang-suk, knowing that even with all his strength, Kang Chang-suk couldn't withstand the blow. Knocking him unconscious, Hyun-sung discarded him like trash, leaving the conscious bullies in shock. Before they could comprehend what had just happened, Hyun-sung utilized his weight to tackle Cho Yan-taek, rendering him unable to react to the next attack. Unconcerned with Jong Min-ho attacking him from behind, Hyun-sung focused on finishing off Cho Yan-taek completely. With blood staining the ground, Cho Yan-taek lay unconscious and Hyun-sung remained unfazed. However, exerting so much effort had taken a toll on Hyun-sun's body. Despite this, he couldn't afford to stop now. There was still one more dish-a-bag to confront. Jong Min-ho, stupefied and caught off guard by Hyun-sun's strength, realized he couldn't defeat him alone. As he found himself within range of Hyun-sun's fist, Jong Min-ho's hands trembled, unable to withstand the fear that washed over him. When Hyun-sun prepared to strike, Jong Min-ho flinched, but luckily for him, the teacher arrived just in time to stop the fight from escalating further. With Jong Min-ho's face unscathed, he regained his smile, thinking that Hyun-sun was in trouble. Inside the teacher's office, the teacher scolded Hyun-sun, emphasizing the need for boundaries, while conveniently attempting to shift the blame onto him. However, before he could finish his threats, Hyun-sun calmly suggested that the teacher stick to what he's good at, burying the incident without creating further problems. Hyun-sun hinted at the teacher's misconduct, such as accepting bribes from parents, specifically from Jong Min-ho's parents. He even mentioned a rumored affair with the English teacher. Seeing the teacher's stunned reaction, Hyun-sun realized his words had hit their mark. He bluntly told the teacher to stop his antics and referred to him as a piece of shit. In Hyun-sun's previous life, he sought the teacher's help, only to be let down when the teacher sided with Park Min-chul and dismissed his bullying as a mere joke. Hyun-sun vividly remembered what followed. The bullying intensified, and he knew he had no other choice but to take matters into his own hands. As he left the teacher's office, he felt a mix of anger and determination, aware that he would have to face the consequences of his actions. Returning to the classroom, Hyun-sun walked past Jong Min-ho, who was throwing a tantrum and acting tough, oblivious to the fact that he was just a despicable human being. Jong Min-ho believed that Kim Hyun-chul, the teacher, would expel Hyun-sun and rid him of his troubles. He convinced himself that what had happened must have been a coincidence, and reassured himself that if he ever encountered Hyun-sun again, he would easily crush him. However, his delusions were shattered when Hyun-sun entered the classroom and called him out. Caught off guard, Jong Min-ho realized his grave mistake, and before he could react, Hyun-sun's fist connected with his face, sending him crashing to the ground. As Jong Min-ho looked up, he saw a demon standing before him. Confused and terrified, he struggled to comprehend the monstrous presence that was Hyun-sun. Leaving Jong Min-ho on the ground, Hyun-sun returned to his seat and observed him with contempt. He had endured 3 years of bullying at the hands of these bastards who had blamed him for his own weakness. Now, witnessing their trembling figures, Hyun-sun's rage surged even more. He had intended to spare Jong Min-ho, but seeing him grovel like this made it difficult to resist delivering more punishment. However, Hyun-sun knew he had to restrain himself to avoid killing Jong Min-ho instantly. Afterward, Hyun-sun glanced at Jong Min-ho's cronies, making sure they understood his disdain. The principal, who boasted about making Bright Prospect High School prestigious, will make every effort to punish him for this incident. But to the contrary, there are numerous witnesses who saw it all unfold. Even if they try to cover it up, they won't be able to stop the truth from spreading. If they can't even handle Bright Prospect High School, then their dreams of revenge are futile. This is merely the beginning. Soon after, the faculty staff assembles, with Hyun-sung sitting across the table to discuss what transpired. The principal states that he will not tolerate this incident and asks the teachers if they saw the faces of the victims. However, Hyun-sung cannot help but interject. He stops the incident, prevents it from escalating further. But again, dozens of witnesses saw what happened. There's no way to conceal it. The victims confirm their accounts, and they all agree to take action against Hyun-sung. Before the English teacher can continue, Kim Hyun-chul nudges her to stop, knowing that if Hyun-sung gets expelled, it will be the end for them. To avoid such a consequence, Kim Hyun-chul steps up to speak. He admits that Hyun-sung was at fault, but as the homeroom teacher of Section 1, he noticed that the cause of the incident lies with the victims, including Park Min-chul. Hyun-sung could have told the truth, but the truth wouldn't have convinced the students, leaving the principal confused. Therefore, he asks for clarification, which Kim Hyun-chul provides. He explains that many students have witnessed Park Min-chul's gang bullying others on a regular basis. Kim Hyun-chul planned to catch them in the act and punish them accordingly. However, it seems that Hyun-sung couldn't endure the bullying any longer and took matters into his own hands. He adds that if they don't like this, they will be doing something that a teacher shouldn't do. Despite this explanation, the principal insists that punishment is inevitable. Aware of the situation, Kim Hyun-chul has no choice but to push back. While their argument intensifies, the principal knows that Jong Min-ho's parents won't let this matter slide. To appease their anger, he must take action against the perpetrators. If he wants to make Bright Prospect High School prestigious, he must maintain strong ties with the powerful. With this belief, He decides to convene a review committee 1 week from now to determine the punishment for Hyun-sung. He instructs the teacher to control the issue and prevent rumors from spreading. He also declares that Hyun-sung will be suspended until the review committee meeting. After issuing these orders, he advises Hyun-sung to reflect on his actions during his time away from school and return with his parents in 1 week. Unexpectedly, this outcome brings even more joy to Hyun-sung. It aligns perfectly with his plan. He stands up and leaves the place, heading back to his class. However, before he can reach his destination, Kim Hyun-chul catches up to him. He tries to reassure Hyun-sung that he did his best and wants to get on his good side. Yet Hyun-sung finds this pathetic and loses even more respect for him. Nonetheless, Hyun-sung acknowledges Kim Hyun-chul's efforts and confronts him. From the beginning, Park Min-chul has been the one bullying others. Hyun-sung regards him with disdain and advises Kim Hyun-chul to always remember, until he graduates from this school, he must do his best for Hyun-sung's sake, using any means necessary. Otherwise, he will tear apart the English teacher's life as well. However, he assures Kim Hyun-chul that he will keep his word. With gritted teeth, Hyun-sung continues on his way, knowing that if it were up to him, he would love to destroy him completely. But Kim Hyun-chul is not his true target. He cannot discard a useful card just because of his anger. He needs him until he establishes his foundation at Bright Prospect High School. 1 week from now, the time he has been planning and contemplating for the past decade will arrive. Once that time comes, the principal on day 1 will face a completely unexpected situation. Later on, Hyun-sung walks down an alley heading towards their home, a modest multi-residential complex that cost only 50 million won. If it weren't for the insurance money they received after his parents' death, they would be living there on rent. When he learned that his grandmother had to sell this place to cover his hospital fees, his world crumbled. He used to think of the place as shabby, but now he is grateful to have a roof over their heads. As he enters the house and calls out for his family, he realizes that no one is there to greet him. He remembers that his grandmother used to work at this hour, and he realizes that he doesn't have time for sentimentality if he wants to help his family. It's a miracle that he got this opportunity, so he is determined to seek revenge and create a comfortable life for his grandmother and brother. With 1 week until the review committee convenes, he knows he has limited time to gather his thoughts and organize his plans. He opens his notebook and begins listing everything he has planned. His path is clear, but he knows he must establish a base and secure his surroundings within 2 years. He needs to gather like-minded individuals who share his goals to confront the bullies and their vast association. However, as a mere freshman, he can't accomplish this on his own, no matter how perfect his plan is. He needs to position the pieces on his game board and find the people he requires. Additionally, he realizes that he possesses knowledge of the future, which allows him to anticipate and mitigate problems. He must create a background that will nullify any issues and enable him to execute his plans flawlessly. To resolve the upcoming challenge of the review committee, having a solid background becomes paramount. In a different setting inside a police station, a white-haired man causes a commotion due to his situation. He uses his status to threaten the officers, introducing himself loudly as Go Chang-byum, the eldest son of Myeongjin Construction Company, and a prominent figure in Daesan. However, due to the ongoing selection of a new heir, he must exercise caution. The police can't afford to disregard due process, as it is preferable to facing pressure from the opposing side for overlooking the matter. As the man grapples with his predicament, he is approached by the police officer who tries to calm him down. They explain that it would be difficult to let such a case slide, but Go Chang-byum is furious and tries to defend himself. However, without any evidence or CCTV footage, the officer remains skeptical. Frustrated, Go Chang-byum threatens the officer, warning him that he will remember his face and insinuating that he has a bright future ahead. Shortly after, Go Chang-byum and Hyun-sung meet outside the police station. Go Chang-byum acknowledges that he would have been in trouble if it weren't for Hyun-sung's intervention. Grateful for his help, Go Chang-byum offers him money, which Hyun-sung gladly accepts. Go Chang-byum is surprised that Hyun-sung doesn't hesitate to take such a large sum of money, but he appreciates his assistance. Hyun-sung then surprises Go Chang-byum by revealing that he knows who he is and the significance he holds. He knows about the situation at Myeongjin Construction and the ongoing succession war between Go Chang-byum and his brother. Go Chang-byum is taken aback by this revelation, and Hyun-sung asserts that he can be of help to him. He proposes a plan to exact revenge on Go Chang-suk and ensure Go Chang-byum's ascension to the chairman position. Initially finding it ridiculous, Go Chang-byum becomes intrigued and decides to hear Hyun-sung out. Inside a cafe, Hyun-sung shows Go Chang-byum the original copy of the black box video. He explains that he witnessed the incident and obtained the footage, proving that Go Chang-byum acted in self-defense. Go Chang-byum realizes that Hyun-sung's knowledge and actions were not coincidental but calculated. Hyun-sung points out that Go Chang-suk has been making plans and alliances, while Go Chang-byum has been enjoying a carefree life. Despite the differences, Hyun-sung believes there is still a chance for Go Chang-byum to win the succession war. Go Chang-byum is intrigued and asks how they can overturn the odds. Hyun-sung explains that they need to separate Go Chang-suk from his wife, as she plays a pivotal role in Go Chang-suk's background. Once her support is gone, Go Chang-suk will be on equal footing with Go Chang-byum. With this plan in motion, they proceed to discuss their strategy further. Later on, the two brothers and their father, Go Myung-jin, are gathered in a building. Go Chang-suk apologizes, but their father is unforgiving, calling him a pathetic bastard. Their father informs them that Chang-suk's wife will be staying away for a while, wanting to see how he makes it up to her. Go Myung-jin then confronts Go Chang-byum, questioning his visits to the police station. Go Chang-byum surprises his father by revealing that he intends to expose Chang-suk's flaws and strategies to him. Hyun-sung had informed him that Chairman Go Myung-jin was aware of his son's actions and allowed them to proceed. Go Chang-byum suggests that if Chang-suk's private life and conduct are indeed a factor, then they should bring him down to their level by targeting his weaknesses. Intrigued by this perspective, Chairman Go Myung-jin allows Go Chang-byum to present his plans. The competition for the chairman position is set to begin, and Go Chang-byum is determined to win. So, Go Chang-byum is certain that his father, Go Myung-jin, will not favor him simply because he exposes Go Chang-suk's misdeeds. Instead, his father may prefer to appoint a professional manager. Go Chang-byum realizes that if Chang-suk's negative image remains unchanged, bringing him down to Go Chang-byum's level will not guarantee his success as the successor. Therefore, Go Chang-byum understands the need to exhibit a suitable attitude befitting the chairman's position. He must prove that he has changed. Hyun-sung advises Go Chang-byum on what steps to take. Go Chang-byum, apologizing to his father, promises to be more cautious in the future. He bows his head and admits that, as the eldest son of Myung-jin Construction Company, he should not have caused such a problem. He assures his father that he will be mindful of his position and act with forethought. Go Chang-byum also asks his father to scold Chang-suk further for his actions. This gesture sets the course of events in motion. To Go Chang-byum's surprise, his father responds by stating that he heard it was Go Chang-byum and Hyun-sung who initiated the confrontation, but commends Go Chang-byum for doing his best to avoid the fight. Go Chang-byum is taken aback by his father's acknowledgement, as he was accustomed to his father's strictness. Now, Go Chang-byum desires to continue receiving his father's praise. Later, Go Chang-byum sits in his car with Hyun-sung and expresses his gratitude for the advice, which resulted in his father's compliments. Believing in the legitimacy of Hyun-sung's words, Go Chang-byum eagerly asks what he needs to do to become the chairman. He assures Hyun-sung that he will listen to whatever he says. Hyun-sung cautions Go Chang-byum not to get too excited, explaining that they have only reset Chang-suk's background to the starting line. To become the chairman, Go Chang-byum must prevail in the remaining 2 rounds. Hyun-sung admits he has plans but emphasizes the need to execute them at the right time. For now, he advises Go Chang-byum to join the company as a minor employee and learn the workings of the organization. When the time is right, Hyun-sung promises to share the plan with him. Initially hesitant, Go Chang-byum witnessed the flawless execution of Hyun-sung's previous advice and willingly accepts, declaring that he will do anything Hyun-sung asks of him. Hyun-sung appreciates Go Chang-byum's cooperation and reveals that there is one more task he wants him to undertake, sparking Go Chang-byum's curiosity. The following day, the review committee begins. Kim Sung-jae, the mother of Jong Min-ho, confronts Hyun-chul and berates him, calling him a vulgar term. She threatens to get him fired if he fails to expel the person responsible for attacking her son. Hyun-chul calmly acknowledges her statement. Jong-chul, overwhelmed by the situation, seeks Hyun-sung's assistance, urging him to apologize to avoid expulsion and minimize the consequences. Hyun-sung, however, firmly refuses and points out that he understands the pressure Jong Min-ho's mother is exerting. He reminds Jong-chul that he could expose his bribery or his affair, if Hyun-sung falls. Jung-chul reluctantly enters the review committee room, where the principal is already conversing with Jung Min-ho's mother, assuring her that he has control over the situation. Jung-chul takes his designated seat, contemplating his fate. He realizes that regardless of whether he becomes an adult, a husband, or a corrupt teacher, there will be no place for him in Daesan. As he ponders what he can do with his saved money, his thoughts are interrupted by the presence of the man who was with Hyun-sung. The committee meeting commences, and Kim Young-chul, the advisor of the perpetrator, is asked to explain the incident in detail. Without hesitation, he stands up and asserts that the cause of the case is crystal clear. The bullies in the school, including Jung Min-ho, initiated the harassment. He deems the case absurd, where the attacker is being treated as the victim. He shares his conviction as he recognizes the man who accompanied Hyun-sung and links him to a previous encounter in the red light district. The revelation about Kim Hyun-sung's legal guardian being Go Chang-byum, the heir of a wealthy family, surprises him. However, he acknowledges that he doesn't have time to dwell on it due to his own dire situation. He realizes this is his chance to switch sides. The principal, taken aback by Jung-chul's statement, asks him to clarify and provide precise details to avoid misunderstandings. Jung-chul proceeds to explain that he had received numerous reports about Park Min-chul's group bullying other students. Initially, he scolded them, but their harassment escalated over time. Recently, Park Min-chul targeted Lee Jungmin and Kim Hyun-sung, with Hyun-sung attempting to intervene. Jung-chul emphasizes that Hyun-sung asked them to stop, showing genuine concern as classmates. However, Park Min-chul and his friends threatened Hyun-sung, leading to a confrontation. Jung-chul appeals to everyone, urging them to consider how they would react if someone tried to harm them, as Hyun-sung was merely defending himself. He explains that Jung Min-ho's actions followed a similar pattern, as he attacked Hyun-sung to protect Park Min-chul, who had assaulted him earlier. Jung-chul acknowledges that Hyun-sung's response may have been excessive, but argues that punishing him alone without addressing the underlying issue of bullying would be irresponsible. The principal and others are shocked by his statement, and the principal reminds him not to deviate from the main point: the serious incident that resulted in 4 students being hospitalized. He emphasizes that regardless of the reasons, violence cannot be condoned, especially considering the extreme nature of the incident. With these words, the situation takes a new turn, and Jung Min-ho and his mother wear triumphant expressions. The principal continues, expressing his anguish at having to determine who is at fault among their alumni. He emphasizes the necessity of punishment to prevent such incidents from recurring, to assure parents that their children are safe at Bright Prospects High School. Now that Chung-byum has captured everyone's attention, he reveals that Hyun-sung is his beloved younger brother, and he knows that Hyun-sung is not the type to cause trouble. He was surprised to hear that Hyun-sung was called to a deliberation committee hearing, so he rushed to the scene, setting aside all his work. As Daesun is a prestigious school, Chung-byum had hoped that Hyun-sung could attend without any trouble, and he had plans to sponsor the school in the name of Myeongjin Construction. However, he didn't expect the school to be so corrupt and poorly managed, causing him to reconsider his decision. In response to the mother of Jung Min-ho foolishly asking if he was threatening them, Chung-byum aggressively states that he is simply stating the facts about what an educator should do. Educators should instill righteous and just values in students. So why is Hyun-sung, who fought back against bullies to save a classmate, being punished? The school is ignoring the years of bullying Hyun-sung endured and punishing him for defending himself, albeit with some violence for the first time. Where was the concern for him when he was being beaten? Did Cheon Il-hye turn a blind eye because he comes from a poor family? And if the school turned a blind eye due to monetary influence, Chung-byum won't let it go easily. He mocks the school's claim of being prestigious and vows to turn the place upside down. He declares that the bullies, including Jung Min-ho, and those who supported him, will never be allowed back in Daesun. He challenges them to consider this as a threat and experience true justice. The parents present start sweating, and even the principal is shocked, realizing he is standing before the firstborn son of Myeongjin Construction and reconsidering his choices. If he takes Jung Min-ho's side, he won't have any chance of establishing a connection with Myeongjin Construction and might even be expelled from Daesan City for defying the warning. This realization leads him to cut ties with Jung Min-ho, seeing it as an opportunity to align himself with Myeongjin. If he can secure Myeongjin's sponsorship, Cheon Il-hye will undoubtedly become the best school in the country, even if he is labeled a traitor. With a concealed smirk, he throws Jung Min-ho under the bus, revealing that he heard from other students that Jong Min-ho was the ringleader of the bullying group from the start of the school year. The mother of Jong Min-ho reacts, but the principal looks away, reminding her that it is not her turn to speak as the victim's mother. The principal clarifies that he is not passing the blame onto someone else, but rather stating the facts presented to them. The deliberation committee hearing is a place where judgment is made based solely on the facts. Hyun-sung, being one of their top high-achieving students, must have had a good reason for his actions, so they should hear what he has to say. However, Hyun-sung is not pleased, because these are the same people who never listened to him when he had no support. He coldly reveals the truth they tried to avoid, the truth he wished someone had listened to in his previous life to avoid a tragic death. He tells them that he repeatedly informed the teachers about Park Min-chul's group bullying other students, but they dismissed his claims, questioning whether it was just playful behavior or telling him to solve the issue himself. Sometimes the teachers promised to look into the matter but only lightly scolded the bullies without addressing the root cause. The lack of consequences gave them confidence to escalate their actions. Hyun-sung admits to hitting Jong Min-ho and sending Park Min-chul and others to the emergency room. However, he questions why he is the one being punished when he was the victim of ongoing bullying. He believes that if he had no power, the case would have been buried, as the rich receive different treatment. If this is an unchangeable truth, he will use it to his advantage. He demands that the committee punish the gang that committed such atrocious acts until now. If they don't, he will expose the incident outside the school, tarnishing Cheon Il-hye's reputation and making it a disgrace to Daesun. He emphasizes that the only way to silence him is through definitive punishment. Jong Min-ho's mother refuses to let her son be held accountable and calls her husband for support, hoping to overturn the outcome. However, her husband's response is unexpected, warning her not to act disrespectfully towards the eldest son of Myeongjin Construction and to consider the consequences for their family. Shocked and realizing her mistake, she is commanded to return immediately, leaving Jong Min-ho to face the consequences alone. Later, Hyun-sung lies on his bed, reflecting on the deliberation committee's decision to give him 100 hours of volunteer work as punishment for his violent actions. Jong Min-ho and the others are expelled, adding insult to injury. Jong Min-ho approaches Hyun-sung, still not fully comprehending the gravity of the situation. He is about to attack Hyun-sung, but to his surprise, even his own mother protects Hyun-sung and tells Jong Min-ho to kneel and apologize. Shocked by his mother's response, Jong Min-ho hesitates. Hyun-sung tells him to ask his mother whether he should kneel or not. When his mother looks away, ignoring his plea, Jong Min-ho finally realizes the severity of the situation. Similar to what happened in Hyun-sung's past life, Jong Min-ho apologizes and promises not to repeat his actions. Hyun-sung tells him that the apologies don't make him feel any better, and warns Jong Min-ho that his future will be filled with misery. Jong Min-ho breaks down in tears, finally realizing the consequences of his actions. The deliberation committee concludes, bringing Hyun-sung one step closer to the mastermind behind the gang that tried to push him to his death. Afterward, he receives a text from Park Min-chul requesting a meeting. They meet, and Park Min-chul expresses gratitude. However, Hyun-sung is not interested in small talk and gets straight to the point. Park Min-chul apologizes for bullying and hurting others, accepting the consequences and promising not to repeat his actions. He asks Hyun-sung to let it slide this time, as he could avoid expulsion if Hyun-sung agrees. Accompanied by his parents, Jong Min-ho hopes for the same outcome. However, Hyun-sung is unaffected and tells Park Min-chul to leave and not show his face around anymore. The students gather on the rooftop to discuss the situation after the deliberation committee and the expulsion of Park Min-chul and the others. Shin Young-min is furious and believes that even though the situation is bad, it presents an opportunity to make more money. He decides to gather the freshman representative on the rooftop to plan their next move. Meanwhile, Hyun-sung is determined to excel academically to take down the Golden Circle. He understands that the Golden Circle is based in Seoul and Gyeonggi-do, so their influence in Daesun is limited. He learns that Shin Young-min's son, a third-year student at their school, is connected to the Golden Circle and decides to confront him. Knowing Shin Young-min's strength, he plans to find a way to eliminate him first.